Lately, I've been playing a game that really seized my interest. It's a stealth survival horror game called Gloomwood. You probably have heard of it, considering how much well-deserved praise it has been getting recently. Today, I'd like to explore the main reasons of my interest towards Gloomwood.
Ah, good doctor. What an unfortunate predicament you found yourself in.
The story follows the endeavor of a doctor who's been mysteriously abducted to a dark Victorian city. His struggle to escape is filled with peril and adversity. Among other creatures, tall men dressed in leathery coats are often seen throughout this journey. They represent at the same time the main inhabitants of the town and the main challenge to overcome in order to escape. But at least at the time of making this video, the game is still in early access on Steam. The current playable portion of it roughly corresponds to 1/4 of the finished game. So while Gloomwood is already very good and polished enough, this video is not gonna revolve around its gameplay or its story, since I'd like to wait for more content before formulating an opinion. No, if there's one aspect of the game that really impressed me, it's the atmosphere it manages to convey. Most of the time, using stealth mechanics entails being on edge, trying to lure foes in a suitable position to then assassinate them with your eccentric cane sword. Or maybe setting up ambushes with explosive barrels. But again, using weapons deliberately, despite the scarcity of ammunition, the concrete possibility of alerting more unwanted visitors. But it's when there are no enemies that this game becomes something else. An eerie sense of loneliness, almost hopelessness, permeates your surroundings. Suddenly, you're not running away, sneaking around, or fighting. The dread and anxiety that came with it being replaced with an eerie sense of solitude. Take the first area of the game, the fishery. There are a few ways you can escape said area. Upon climbing the first elevator and heading to the right, a tiny door frame shrouded in darkness can be seen. This will lead you to a small corridor. To the side, you can see a barricaded window. And if you destroy the wooden planks used to prevent the access, you see this. A glimpse of what awaits you outside. No monsters, no guards, no enemies. Just you and a seemingly endless sea. You manage to climb down only to be hit with the distinct soundscape of the harbor. Howling of the wind, the sound of the waves rolling against the fishery becoming almost deafening compared to the quiet ambience of the previous area. And despite the general atmosphere of the game being creepy and sinister, the sea is tranquil. The water is calm, almost still. And although the clouds are incredibly dense and ominous, there's no rain. This bleak atmosphere perfectly encapsulates the feeling of being trapped in this wretched town, the only hope of getting out being a lighthouse. But there are other areas that enable you to witness this atmosphere. At a certain point in the story, you'll have the opportunity of exploring the rooftops of the fishery. After clearing this section of the map of unwanted guests, you'll be free to roam as you please. And there it is again. No enemies, no danger, no nothing. Just a few minutes to reflect on what happened so far. It's almost as if you just emerged from the bowels of the fishery. Looking around, you can see clearly with an open roof the sense of sadness and solitude that permeates this game. Even your surroundings are a contributing factor in enhancing the emotions you can feel here. From the skylights, you can directly overlook the rooms you were in just minutes ago. The struggle you went through just to get here. The murky sky above you doing nothing but reinforcing the darkness of Gloomwood. I especially like the sound design of this area. the whistling of the wind being the cherry on top of an already oddly calm section of the game. Despite this atmosphere being something that I experienced during the first section of the game, you can recapture the same sensations I just mentioned in other, sometimes hidden, parts of the map. Gloomwood is in fact dotted with secret areas and things to find. Maybe hiding in plain sight, maybe under the sea, maybe down a well, you get the idea. But it's within those small sections of gameplay that I feel like the same eerie tranquility I repeatedly mentioned reappears. My favorite secret location has to be the boat you find after exiting the mines of Gloomwood. You find yourself in this wooden facility, possibly used to process various gems and minerals found during the minerary expeditions. You climb down the facility slide, only to find you're just past the area you've been forced to avoid. By backtracking to the small road that leads back to the fishery, you can get a glimpse of the coastal track on your left. Upon taking a closer look at it, you come into contact with a tiny wooden boat. In it, you find various slug bolts and casings. But of course, you also get the opportunity to just stand there, looking at what's ahead of you. All the while getting reaccustomed with the same sensation you felt in the fishery and on the rooftops. An eerie moment of solitude and peace. But the general feeling you get by playing this game cannot be summarized by a mere description of a few areas of the map. No, rather a mixture of gameplay elements and design choices make up this particular atmosphere. The fact that the map is composed of a set of areas interlinked with each other is an important contributing factor. Basically, throughout the game, you'll come across many inaccessible areas, but most of the time you'll later see those same places from different angles, literally. Then there's the absence of a cluttered UI, once again enhancing the player's immersion in this Victorian nightmare. Throughout the story, you'll also come across many flyers, pieces of paper that contain some relevant information regarding the state the city is in and its inhabitants. And last but not least, there are the guards, or huntsmen, who will sometimes be heard talking about their surroundings amongst other things.
Are you coming to the slaughtered goat?
No. Why should I?
The Night Watch said they caught something. They won't say what, just that everybody should come see.
It better be more exciting than that overgrown rabbit they showed last time. A bear hound. What a bunch of morons.
At this point, I'm left wondering only one thing. Why is Gloomwood's atmosphere so mysterious? And why does the game instill an unsettling sense of calmness in players? When looking towards the sea, or down into the depths of the mine of this game, fear is not the first nor the only emotion that comes to mind. Now, imagining for a second that you could actually do it. What would actually happen if you were to venture out into the sea, or somehow descend into the depths of Gloomwood's caves? Would you find a way to survive? Maybe. It would appear as if the vastness of many background areas served as a pretext to something deeper, something unknown to us, the player. That strange sensation of not being able to tell whether our surroundings pose a threat to us or no danger at all. But then again, looking at some of Gloomwood's scenarios, it's as if there was no such dilemma. Looking at the ocean or walking through some desolate areas, it's almost as though there was no hope to escape to begin with. Hopelessness. There'd be many more elements to present and to discuss, and while I'd love to go in more depth regarding said topics, I'd sincerely advise you to play the game and experience Gloomwood for yourself. This is a game that is incredibly immersive. Through its mechanics, it manages to convey many different sensations, from dread to calmness. And while Gloomwood is not a complete experience, I can't wait to see what's to come.